武汉第一批剩女住进养老院，真的是让人呢苦不堪言。
In our city, Wuhan, the first group of leftover women have already begun moving into nursing homes, and the situation is heartbreaking. This is especially painful for me because one of my relatives is actually there. It makes me feel incredibly sad, and I hope that today's leftover women can read what I'm saying and finish reading from start to end. Otherwise, you might be the next person to regret it. Reality is really cruel, and it cuts to the bone. I have a distant, older female cousin. When she was a child, she was the only child in the family, and her parents pampered her. When she was young, she had a willful personality and was extremely picky about finding a partner, treating it like sieving through sand. Either she demanded too high an income from the man, or she found him unattractive, or she looked down on the man for not having a job. This left my maternal aunt speechless and incredibly angry. As time passed, her family stopped intervening, and she continued to live her life her way. But as the years went by, time gradually eroded her beauty, and her looks started to fade. My maternal aunt also passed away. In the end, there wasn't a single family member by her side. The most painful moment came 2 years ago. She had a high fever for several days, her whole body was in unbearable pain, and she felt like she couldn't hold on any longer. However, there was not a single family member by her side, not even someone to pour her a glass of water. That kind of loneliness and helplessness made her feel like life was worse than death. She even said that if she died in her house, nobody would probably discover it. At that moment, she truly realized the cost of her willfulness in her youth. Not getting married and not having children was such a huge mistake, and she regretted it deeply. Sadly, if you don't hit a brick wall when you're young, your heart won't change. By the time she hit the brick wall, she finally woke up, but by then, it was too late. There are also some single elderly people in the Wuhan nursing home. When they were young, they had high social status, high education, high income, and high looks. They were considered successful people. In their youth, they pursued their dreams, choosing not to marry or have children, and lived freely and easily. Who could have imagined that their old age would be so desolate? Now they have no choice but to live in a nursing home, spending their days either eating or sleeping, with no one to visit them. Even though the nursing home staff takes care of them, that kind of blood-related family bond cannot be replaced. If they had had a family and children when they were young, those feelings of familial love in old age are something money can't buy. In the end, an old age without children leaves only loneliness as a companion, and by the time they regret it, it's already too late. Last time I went to the nursing home to visit my distant older female cousin, I met a woman named Zhang, who is 70 years old this year. She shared her personal experience with me. When she was young, she was extremely picky about finding a partner. Not only did she demand good looks, but she also required a perfect family background and impeccable character. She thought that with her excellent conditions, she would surely find her Prince Charming. However, one meeting after another, she was never satisfied. Even though her parents and relatives repeatedly tried to persuade her, she continued to stick to her standards. As a result, by the time she was in her 40s, her youth had passed, and her beauty had faded. Just like that, she missed her chances, neither high nor low, and eventually, she didn't get married or have children. When she was young, she felt that not getting married or having children wasn't a big deal. She thought living alone was freer, with no family burdens, and no need to worry about children. As long as she had money, she could live in a luxury nursing home in old age and be taken care of. That was her thinking 30 years ago. But what about now? Her peers are surrounded by children and grandchildren, enjoying the happiness of family life. Meanwhile, her health is deteriorating, and she's all alone, with no one to share her thoughts with. Her house is empty and lifeless, completely unlike what a home should feel like. Now, she too can only live in a nursing home. In the nursing home, she watches those elderly with children, surrounded by their children every day, either discussing their grandchildren's achievements or sharing the joys of family life. She can only hide in the corner, her eyes full of envy. At this moment, she wishes she had a child to visit her. She deeply regrets the rash decisions she made when she was young. No matter how much savings or pension she has now, what good is it? In old age, the thing people crave the most is the care from family and the warmth of family love. Now, this elderly woman hopes to share her personal experiences through the internet in the hope that she can warn young people. Don't easily choose not to get married or have children, or else it will be you who regrets it.
经常有很多粉丝关心我的养老问题。
I am 43 years old this year. I'm still single.
Nowadays, many people are often concerned about my future retirement. They say that at my age, if I don't get married or have children, I'll regret it later because I won't have a son to take care of me when I'm old. But I think my current lifestyle is perfect. Even if I grow old, I have the money to go to a high-end retirement home. So today, I'm taking a special trip to check out what the retirement homes here in Shanghai look like. Look at this environment, these conditions, are you satisfied? Haha, such a big living room. In the future, I can live alone here, and it would be amazing. Look at this bed in the retirement home, it's really nice. And look at the lighting on this balcony, it's simply perfect. The gym in the retirement home is also fully equipped, and you don't even need a membership card, you can exercise whenever you want. Look, there's even a dedicated reading room in the retirement home. There are so many books here, most of them donated by the elderly themselves. I also love reading, so when I move in, I'll have plenty of books to enjoy, haha. Now, take a look at the cafeteria in our Shanghai retirement home. Have you ever seen such a beautiful dining hall? The food looks delicious, and look at how much I got today, just 53 yuan. It's such a bargain. After lunch, I can also enjoy some entertainment activities, like singing. I can even go swimming. And look, this retirement home has a dedicated area for haircuts. In the future, I could get a spa every day. How amazing is that? Look at these grandmothers enjoying their spa treatment. They look so relaxed, so content. Wow, there's even a cinema in the retirement home. I'm genuinely surprised. Haha, let me show you my billiard skills. There's also a dedicated game room. I even ran into a singing group of grandmothers. Their energy is just incredible. When we get to live in such a retirement home in the future, will us older single women still be crying under our blankets? So, there's no need to worry about the future life of us older single women. We can live a wonderful life while we're young, and when we get older, we can still live just as brilliantly. It will be such a blast to live together in a retirement home with other sisters who didn't get married.
广东第一批剩女啊，已经相继进入养老院了哈。
Recently, I watched a documentary about the first group of older single women entering nursing homes in Guangdong province, and it left a deep impression on me. What will happen if you never get married in your life? The documentary tells the story of a 62-year-old single elderly woman, and her experience is quite thought-provoking. This elderly woman felt very free in her 30s. She could earn and spend money as she pleased. Despite her parents urging her to marry, she saw how chaotic the lives of those around her became after marriage, with many ending up divorced. So she chose not to get married, believing that marriage was not a life requirement. Moreover, her standards for men were very high, career, appearance and height, none of which could be lacking. As a result, she stayed single, but she believed that she could live a wonderful life on her own, so she wasn't overly concerned at the time. However, in her 40s, she fell seriously ill. At that time, her parents were still around to take care of her, and she still didn't think there was anything wrong with choosing to remain single. But when she fell ill again in her 60s, her parents had already passed away, and no one was there to care for her. She had to ask a distant cousin for help, but since this cousin had her own family to take care of, she was reluctant to assist her. After sensing the cousin's reluctance, she began to doubt whether her decision to remain single had been the right one. During her hospital stay, she started calculating her savings for retirement and realized that, based on the nursing home's fees, her money would only last until she was about 70. If she lived past 70, she would face an awkward situation. She also feared developing Alzheimer's in the future. Without children, and with the nursing home staff potentially lacking patience for her, she worried she would face even greater loneliness and helplessness. This documentary, which focuses on the first group of older single women entering nursing homes in Guangdong, also reflects the mentality of these women. Most of them deeply regret their decisions. Many women regret not having children, feeling that living alone has led to loneliness and isolation. When they were younger, they were confident in their ability to live independently, believing that marriage was not necessary. But after staying in the nursing home for 3 months, once the novelty wore off, they gradually began to feel an increasing sense of loneliness. Their daily lives consisted of chatting with the elderly men and women around them. Gradually, as one by one the elderly people around them passed away, their fear and loneliness grew even stronger. Eventually, some of them even entertained the idea of adopting a godson or goddaughter, even if it meant the possibility of being deceived. They felt it was worth the risk. This experience made me think, is the ideology of remaining single and not having children, held by many young people today, really correct? Nowadays,
Many young people believe that marriage is not essential, and that focusing on oneself and living well is the right value system. But can one truly maintain the freedom and independence of youth in old age? Most people do not have the opportunity to become billionaires, so we should learn from the experiences of ordinary people. Those who choose to marry and have children, though their lives are filled with mundane matters, can also experience the small joys and sweetness of life. If we pursue independence and freedom relentlessly when we are young, will we still be able to maintain that attitude in old age? People often say that enjoying life when you are young doesn't count as true enjoyment. True enjoyment comes when you can still enjoy life in old age. Of course, some people worry that if they have children, the children may not want to take care of them when they grow old, which could lead to even greater disappointment. However, life is fundamentally based on hope. If a person has nothing to care about, no hopes, then life loses its meaning. Therefore, I hope that through this event, those young people who insist on remaining single and not having children will reconsider their choices.
我是绝对不上养老院，我姐姐住过，她觉得孤独了，觉得被抛弃了。
I will never go to a nursing home. My cousin once lived in a nursing home, and she never married or had children in her life. At first, she thought she could accept this lifestyle, but as time went by, she felt increasingly lonely, as if she had been abandoned by the whole world. There was a time when she didn't even want to live anymore, falling into deep despair, which eventually led to severe mental issues, and she had to be hospitalized for treatment. After she was discharged, she never wanted to return to the nursing home, and no matter what, she refused to go back. I'm 80 years old this year. Now, my monthly pension is about more than 7,000 yuan. I will never go to a nursing home. Why? Because during my previous work in journalism, I interviewed nursing homes many times and visited the elderly there. I saw many different kinds of elderly people. The elderly in nursing homes often have very different personalities, life experiences, and growing environments, and each person has their own unique thoughts and behaviors, so it's not easy to live harmoniously in such an environment. Not only that, but my cousin also personally experienced life in a nursing home. She lived in a two-person room, and at first, she was somewhat adapted to it. Her neighbor was a strange-tempered old lady. Every time I visited my cousin, I would bring some food and necessities for her. However, this old lady always made various demands of us, and when her needs weren't met, she would verbally abuse us. She would often pour dirty water near my cousin's bed, and eventually my cousin couldn't take it anymore and had to move to another room. Even so, this old lady would still stare at her through the door and continue asking her for things. If she didn't get what she wanted, she would curse at her. This kind of life made my cousin very uncomfortable. Originally, she thought the nursing home would be a peaceful place for the elderly, but it turned out to be full of conflicts and disharmony. My cousin eventually decided not to live in the nursing home anymore. She moved back home for a while, but since she had always been single, she still felt extremely lonely at home, as if she had been abandoned by the world. For a period of time, she even lost interest in life and no longer wanted to live. Later, this led to some mental problems and she was sent to the hospital. After she recovered, she refused to return to the nursing home no matter what. This is a real experience from my own family, and it's one of the reasons I firmly refuse to go to a nursing home. Moreover, our neighbor's elderly family members also lived in a nursing home. Once I asked them how they felt about it. The couple who lived there said one sentence to me: "We're just waiting to die there." This sentence left a deep impression on me. The environment in the nursing home made them feel that life was hopeless, as if they were just waiting for the end of their lives. Some of my classmates who have been single their whole lives live in relatively high-end nursing homes, but even so, the photos of food they sent during the Spring Festival didn't look comparable to what we have at home. Besides, the cost of such high-end nursing homes is extremely expensive, and ordinary people simply can't afford it. What if one day I can't take care of myself? I think even if that day comes, I will still choose to stay at home. I have 2 children, and they are both very filial and have already retired, so they can take care of me. I'm very reassured about this. I will advise my friends and relatives never to go to a nursing home, because from these first-hand experiences, I deeply feel that nursing homes are not the best option for the elderly. Especially with so many older single women in society now, I sincerely advise you young ladies to carefully consider marriage, and don't think it will be good to rely on nursing homes when you're old.
不结婚老了怎么办？我今年40岁，不婚不育。
Many people ask me, what will happen when you get old if you don't get married? I'm 40 this year and have chosen not to marry or have children, even though I'm seen as an older single woman. But I have a house and savings, and my parents support my decision not to marry. I often think that if I don't get married, then when I grow old, I'll just go for treatment for minor illnesses. For major illnesses, I can just wait to die. Does getting married mean you can live forever, or that you won't get sick anymore? In fact, being married doesn't guarantee that you will live to a ripe old age. Some people, even when sick, have to take care of the whole family, either getting stressed out by their husbands or being driven crazy by their children. For those sisters who don't want to get married but worry about loneliness, getting married later in life is also an option. After all, as long as a woman is willing to be a caregiver, she can find an old man even at 80. Women are always seen as prime cuts. Even with poor conditions, they can still exchange their labor for a place to sleep and meals. People who don't get married may face loneliness in their old age, but this is not an unsolvable problem. Future technology may become more advanced, and there may even be various apps that require daily check-ins. If someone doesn't check in for over 2 days, the system will automatically send someone to check on us older single women. In the future, the streets may even be filled with robots. So there's no need to worry about the future. Living well in the present and working hard to earn money is what's most important. Worrying about things that haven't happened is really unnecessary. When I was hospitalized before, the 2 aunties in the next bed knew I wasn't married and kept advising me that I wouldn't have anyone to take care of me when I got old. However, their husbands had never visited them in the hospital, and one of the aunties had 2 sons who were already arguing over the inheritance, which is really laughable. People born in the 70s and 80s may be the last 2 generations that truly care for their parents in their old age. Nowadays, children understand that their parents only gave birth to them for the sake of taking care of them in old age. Thus, their relationships with their parents resemble business transactions, focusing on return on investment. If parents don't invest millions in their children, they shouldn't expect them to repay them wholeheartedly. For ordinary people, it might take a lifetime of scrimping and saving just to earn a few million. The end result could be growing old without money or value, being looked down upon by their children. I choose not to marry or have children, so I can spend the money that would have gone to raising kids on travel, retirement, and enjoying life. Being happy every day is my greatest pursuit. At worst, when I grow old, I can invite many good friends to a high-end nursing home together. Being with good friends means we can be happy every day.
Actually, in today's society, many older single women choose not to marry, and the ones who are most anxious about this are not their close friends or companions. It's actually their parents who are the most worried. I believe that parents who urge their children to marry are qualified parents. Nowadays, the main group getting married is mostly those born in the 90s and even the aughts, while many only children feel quite resistant to their parents' marriage pressure. In fact, many older single women are influenced by negative online narratives and consumerism, leading them to have their own thoughts about marriage. Therefore, ladies, if one day you find that your parents no longer care about your marriage, just go with the flow. Do as you wish. Love however you want. This means that your parents might have given up their expectations for you. Because in this world, only parents care selflessly about your happiness. The reason they urge you to marry is that it relates to your future happiness. Whether you marry or not is actually a matter that doesn't concern anyone else. The reason your parents are so worried about your marriage is that they are afraid. If one day, when they grow old and leave this world, you are left alone, when you're old and sick, who will take care of you? Who will care for you? They don't want to wait until the moment they leave this world, still worrying about your life. Many young people often say they just want to make money, that they are too busy with work, and that raising children is too tiring. In fact, we all have gone through this, and haven't we all lived quite well? But when you are old and sick, unable to speak or move, at that point, I tell you, even if you have money, it won't be of much use. You might say that having money allows you to hire someone to take care of you. At worst, you can pay a high price for that. But true care and companionship cannot be bought with money. Moreover, by then, it's even possible that the money you have may not fully belong to you. The wisdom your parents have summarized from their lifelong experiences is something they will never wish to harm you. Do you think this perspective makes sense? Please leave your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to provide you with better programs. Thank you again for watching. See you next time.